Good evening, sports fans. I'm your host, Dylan. This is the Sports for Life podcast. Welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about De'Aaron Fox and the slander that has been going on since the NBA Finals has concluded as the San Antonio Spurs won the series and are now the NBA champions. Now, the reason why I'm doing this podcast for this specific topic is De'Aaron Fox is an excellent player. He's a good overall player. He's been in the league for many years now. He's 28 years old. He was former first round pick number 5 in 2017, played for the Sacramento Kings, who now plays for the San Antonio Spurs. So I've had enough of the slander going on with De'Aaron Fox. I'm watching TikTok. I'm seeing ESPN. I'm seeing different videos being posted by, former NBA players about De'Aaron Fox and the slander that has been going on in regards to him, his position, what he has been doing, what he has accomplished, how he's been playing as of late, especially in the playoffs and especially in the NBA Finals. And it's completely disrespectful that these analysts are going after this player based on what happened in the finals. It's completely disgusting, and it's completely a huge amount of slander that's been going on. It's been unfair to De'Aaron Fox, and he's a great player. And the reason why I'm posting this video and doing this video on De'Aaron Fox is because I saw that today, especially, and how frequent it's been, just him being the topic of why they lost and blaming him for everything that has happened in the finals when he has contributed to this team since he's been part of this team, and also basically the team has been in the position they've been because of De'Aaron Fox contributing. And the slander that's been going on for De'Aaron Fox is completely disgusting and unacceptable, because this guy is a good player. And I'm here to prove with facts that De'Aaron Fox is not responsible for the Spurs losing in the finals to the New York Knicks, to clear his name and give him the respect he deserves for all he has done in his career up until now. So what I've done now, I've pulled up his statistics here, De'Aaron Fox, and you can see here he is. He is 28 years old currently. As I mentioned before, he's a former first-round pick number 5 from Sacramento in 2017. Currently playing point guard for the San Antonio Spurs. Now, during this regular season, he scored 18.6 points a game, 3.8 rebounds a game, 6.2 assists a game, and he shot 48.6% as a field goal percentage, which was 51st in the league. So he was 51st in the league in field goal percentage. He was tied for 17th in the league for assists at 6.2. He was 132nd in the league, 3.8 rebounds. Well, he's a guard, so point guard, so you don't expect a ton there. But his points, he was 36th in the entire league out of all the players in the entire NBA. 36th in total in scoring points per game. So you're telling me those guys like Kendrick Perkins, the Paul Pierce show with Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, and all those other guys are going on their show and they're saying, well, Kevin Garnett didn't, but Paul Pierce did, say that this guy, oh, we need to get rid of him, get him out of there. He's averaging 18.6 points a game for the regular season. And when you scroll down here and you see in his career in Sacramento, which he played from 2017 to 2025, he was averaging 11.6 points a game, 17.3, 21.1, 25.2, 23.2, 25, 26.6, 25, and then it changed this year when he went to the Spurs to 19.7 because he was traded during the season. So his average was 23.5. And then now last season 18.6. So it's obviously dipped his performance, but you have to understand something as well. De'Aaron Fox is on a team with young rising stars, right? He's got guys on his team such as Dylan Harper, who's a young player who's now he's now coming into his second year, coming into his own, being more um, you know, a forefront person on the team when it comes to offense. And then you got Stephen Castle, and you got Devin Vasil, and then you got also Wemby. So you got to understand that he's not going to be doing what he did in Sacramento in the Spurs. And you can't expect him to be doing that because Wemby is the face of the franchise now. De'Aaron Fox is a supporting player now. He's not the guy to carry the team anymore. That's Wemby's job to do now. Yeah, Wemby is still young, but he's shown as a potential MVP candidate that he deserves to be the guy who running the show in San Antonio. And De'Aaron Fox played really well this year for this team. His stats say so. He has been playing excellent basketball. Now, going into the playoffs, obviously they beat OKC, they beat the other teams they played, they went into the finals. The finals didn't go so well for De'Aaron Fox, but that doesn't dictate his career, and that's not going to dictate who he is as a player. Okay? I'm going to pull up some statistics from what happened in the NBA finals each game, and I'm going to go over the games itself and explain what happened in the game and why De'Aaron Fox is not solely responsible where he needs to be called out and slandered for his performance. So in game one, the Knicks won 105 to 95. The turning point of that game was Jalen Brunson's fourth quarter takeover. The Spurs led by as many as 14 points, but the New York Knicks defense tightened up late. Brunson scored 13 points in the fourth quarter. The Knicks closed the game on an 11-0 run and stole home court advantage in San Antonio. Okay, so game one. Is that De'Aaron Fox's fault? Is he responsible for that? No, he is not. As it says, the Spurs led by 14 points. Knicks defense got tight late in the fourth. Jalen Brunson, who I said is a top candidate to be an MVP candidate. He's a top 5 player in the league, Jalen Brunson. He's playing amazing basketball, and he showed that in the playoffs. So in game one, the Knicks went on an 11-0 run. Jalen Brunson scored 13 of his entire points in the fourth quarter, took over the game, and they edged by the Spurs and beat them. Is that De'Aaron Fox's fault? That's not his fault. He did not cause that. That was a team effort. If the head coaches from the San Antonio Spurs are responsible for not making the proper adjustments when they should have, or tried to do certain things to stop momentum. The team as well, the players who played defense on Jalen Brunson, the way they played their defense on the floor, that's the team's responsibility to try to contain players from going off on them. And then again, you can't control these things. Sometimes players have nights where they go off. They have nights where they can't be stopped. You've seen it. They score 30, 40, 50 points. They just catch fire and they can't be stopped. So that's not his fault. Game two, the Knicks beat the Spurs 105 to 104. The turning point is the New York Knicks' dominant second quarter. The Spurs won the first quarter and nearly stole the game late, but the Knicks' 31 to 18 advantage in the second quarter created just enough separation. The game came down to a single possession, but the Knicks escaped with a 2-0 series lead. Again, a close game, came down to the wire. A very close game. Now, the Knicks had the advantage in the second quarter where they outscored the Spurs 31 to 18. Is that De'Aaron Fox's fault again? No, it's not. It's a team effort. Where was Wemby? Where was Stephen Castle? Where was all the other guys on their team? Where was the head coaching staff to go again and stop the Knicks from making that run, being outscored 31-18? Call timeouts, make adjustments, switch up your lineups. You can take De'Aaron Fox out at any time and you can bring in anybody you want. But who are you going to bring in to replace him? And please don't say Dylan Harper, because Dylan Harper jacked up a ton of shots. Yeah, he did score a lot, but not enough to say that he's going to make such a huge impact, right? So, you got two guys there. You got a guy who's a veteran guy who's been playing well his whole career, and he also helped you during your run against the defending champions, who was the Oklahoma City Thunder. and now you're just going to pull him out in the finals and bring in someone else. It's like taking Wemby out, saying, "Oh, we're going to bring in someone else to replace Wemby because he's not shooting well." It's not going to happen. It's not. It doesn't work that way. If Paul Pierce wasn't shooting well in the finals, do you think they'll take him out and make him sit down on the bench? No, they wouldn't do that. That's not how sports works. Yes, you can see how hot a guy is. You can see, when you want to make adjustments, and you make those adjustments. It's not the player's fault. The coaches have to make the call. The coaches have to make the decision to say, "Hey, you know what? De'Aaron Fox is not playing really well down the stretch. Let's make some adjustments. Let's prepare our team in case the next game comes around and he's not playing well. We have a backup plan and we know how we're going to move forward by making those adjustments in the game, so things can, we can do what we got to do." They failed to make the adjustments. The Spurs did not make any adjustments. They played the same players over and over, played them until the end of the series. They did not try to mismatch. They did not try to do anything different. They were playing the same style of basketball the entire series. Same lineups, same substitutions, same plays, same everything. They didn't try to flip it, switch it, and be unique against the Knicks when they saw what the Knicks were doing to them by edging them in the fourth quarter. They didn't make those adjustments. And that is not De'Aaron Fox's fault because he's a player on the team. If he's not playing well, it's the coaches that got to make that decision to make a substitution or pull him out when it's crunch time, put in a certain lineup to try to finish your game. That's what coaching is. It's a chess game. You have to play it that way. You can't just go and say, "Oh, this player is here, he's being slandered." If Kobe Bryant wasn't shooting well, do you think they would take him out and put him on the bench and let him sit down and bring in some random player? No, they're not going to do that. It's not, especially not in the finals. He's going to shoot through his woes. He's going to keep playing until the series is over. And that's De'Aaron Fox. You don't have someone else that you can bring in that you can say, "Hey, this guy will do better than him." You don't. He's a veteran on this team. He's a leader on this team, and he's done a lot to get them to the finals in the first place. You don't just go and replace him and take him out. However, if there's a situation at the end of the game where you feel you have an advantage with a player that can come in and give you a different outlook, then you do that. You make that switch, right? You chess play. You make the other team make the adjustments. That's what you have to do. Unless you have a player that's absolutely more dominant than anyone else on the other team, like how they have Wemby, you don't pull Wemby. It's absolutely ridiculous to think about that. And if I tell anyone, "Oh, just pull Wemby because this is the case," people are going to be like, "Are you crazy? Why would you pull Wemby? Wemby is the best player on the floor." Same thing, I'd go with De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox has done more in his career than Wemby has up to this point. He's been a better scorer than Wemby. He's doing he's been doing a lot since he's been active as a player. And for them to slander him in the finals is ridiculous. So we'll go to game 3 now. So in game 3, the turning point was San Antonio's response after halftime. After blowing leads in game 1 and 2, the Spurs regrouped at halftime and attacked aggressively. Victor Wembanyama dominated with 32 points while Stephen Castle delivered key plays in the late. The Spurs controlled the fourth quarter and finally closed out a tight game. Again, De'Aaron Fox is responsible? No. Team effort. Certain players stepped up. They made the plays that they needed to get the win. Right? They stepped up. They did what they had to do to close out the game. They lost game 2 by 1 point. Then in game 3, they edged by the Knicks, right? Then game 4 comes along. The turning point, the greatest comeback in NBA Finals history. The Spurs appeared to have complete control after building a massive lead, but New York completely flipped the game in the second half. The Knicks clamped down defensively, forced turnovers, and held San Antonio to just 30-second half points to take a commanding 30-second half points to take a commanding 3-1 lead. Is that De'Aaron Fox's fault? Like, the team collapsed. The coaching staff again failed to make the right adjustments. The coaching staff failed to stop the bleeding when the Knicks were making a comeback. You're up by so much points. Your team starts shooting shots and they're missing shots. You call the timeout and you tell these guys, "Hey, you guys are missing. They're scoring. They're catching up. We need to start being aggressive again. We need to start putting the ball on the floor and getting to the basket, getting contact, shooting free throws. We need to be active. Not just you the things that people don't talk about. In game 4, the greatest comeback in finals history, you know what the Spurs did? After the second half started, the Spurs shot 8 3-pointers in a row. And out of those 8 3-pointers, they missed all 8 3-pointers. And what did the Knicks do? Work their way to come back into the game. And that's how they were able to come back and win the game. Whose fault is that? Are we going to finger point De'Aaron Fox again and say, oh, he didn't show up, he didn't do this, he didn't do that? It's a team effort. You have Victor Wembanyama, you have Stephen Castle, you have everybody else on your team playing. If your player on your team isn't playing well and you're in and you see the Knicks start making a comeback and your guy's out there shooting the ball and he's missing and he's not doing the right things, you as a coaching staff pull him out, bring in someone else, give him the objective what you want him to do, let him execute. Coaches have all the power in the world to do these things and make these types of decisions. And the fact that they allowed the Knicks to come back and win that game, that is the coaching staff's fault and the players on the Spurs for playing how they played. Shooting 8 3-pointers straight every possession for 8 possessions and missing all of them and allowing the Knicks to chip away at the lead and come back. Whose fault is that? Right? That's not one player's fault. De'Aaron Fox didn't shoot all 8 3-pointers after halftime and miss all 8 3-pointers. It's not his fault. And then what happened? The Knicks won the game. Now, the Knicks won the game when De'Aaron Fox, at the end of that game, there was a steal at the end of the game. The ball was leaked out to the court, and De'Aaron Fox ran it down. He went up to lay the ball up. He got fouled. He got hit on his wrist, and you can see it all over the news as well. It's all on ESPN, everywhere. You can see that he got hit on his wrist going up to lay the ball up. Now, should he have dribbled out the clock and take the fouls? That's questionable. Yeah, he could have done that, definitely. Was that the right thing to do? Maybe. However, he was transitioning down the floor. And what I saw in the video was that when he transitioned down on the floor and he looked back over his shoulders, he was surrounded by Knicks players. There was Anunoby on him, Cat was following him, and Josh Hart was following him, and then trailing was the other guys. And no Spurs players came to assist him or came to support him or anything like that. No one came. And he was there alone. He went to the basket. Yep, he did his thing. If he had scored, it would have put them up by 3, which would have forced the Knicks to shoot a 3 and make a 3 to tie the game. So now, do I agree with that play? Going one-on-one with Anunoby being a smaller guard, going to lay it up? No, I don't agree with it. Do I hate the play? Do I think that he made a huge mistake? I don't think so. I don't think he made a mistake. And the reason why he didn't make a mistake is because De'Aaron Fox hasn't been shooting the ball well from the free throw line in the playoffs. That's why. And for the fact that he hasn't been shooting the ball well in the playoffs from the free throw line, that's where I was concerned and I realized that maybe he made the better play by doing that, you know, because he was, let me see here, hold on. Postseason averages, postseason total. I saw a statistic showed his percentage. He was shooting about 75% from the free throw line in the playoffs. Here, 75% career. Okay, yeah, we can go with that. He was shooting his free throw percentage was 75% from the free throw line. So, I mean, he's not a great free throw shooter. And if he had gotten fouled and he had missed both, let's say, they would have lost the game by 1 like they did. If he had made one, they would have tied and the Knicks would have had the chance to go down and score to win the game. Now, if he made both, then they would have been up by 2. Sorry, they would have been up by one because it was they were down by one. So they would have been up by 1 point. So a game winning shot from the Knicks would have won them the game. Basically, a field goal, a foul, anything, go to the line and make your two free throws, and then it's over. So he's not a great free throw shooter. So do I agree with him taking that if I saw he's shooting 75% from the floor? Yes, go be aggressive, take it. Because you score that, now you're up by three. You don't need to foul anybody, but you need them to make that 3-pointer to tie the game, right? So it it was you know, no, if the Spurs hit the three, it would have been, yeah, they would have needed a three to win. If the Spurs scored the field goal there, they would have needed a two to tie and a three to win. So yeah, no. I mean, I agree with him. If he goes and scores, you're forcing now the Knicks to make a game-winning shot. And I take my chances on that any day. So, you're blaming him for the greatest comeback in finals history because of what happened in the last like 20 seconds of the game. It's absolutely crazy. It's so crazy. When they were up by they were up by 29 points or something like that. And then they came back and won the game. You're blaming De'Aaron Fox for that. So, um, and let's go to game 5. Turning point, championship level defense and execution. With the title on the line, the Knicks slowed the game down, made key plays in crunch time, held the Spurs to just 90 points. The Knicks closed out the series 4-1 to capture their title. So, and then after that happens, they win. The slander comes out. De'Aaron Fox should be traded. He should be going to, we get rid of him, get him off this team. Dylan Harper is there, play him, start him. It's so bad to see. It's honestly so bad to see after this kind of breakdown that I've given you guys, to see the slander of these guys, professional athletes who have played the game, you know. And I'm not saying that he should have stayed out there and played the entire games, or like all the games, but yeah, maybe in one game you see he's not playing well and you know what position you're in and you know what you need from your team. You make some substitutions and adjustments. You know, you don't really have a deep bench. That's probably problem number one for them, as I broke down in the previous videos where um, I broke down their team structure and their contracts and where they're kind of making a mistake right now by not utilizing their cap properly and having cap hold, which is like players that are basically tying down too much cap. But you have this guy as your number one guy. He's your highest paid player. He's your number one guy. He's your franchise point guard. And, you know, to see that kind of behavior from those sportscasters is a true shame. And it made me come out here and make this video to prove that De'Aaron Fox is not solely responsible for what happened. And it's not fair to him that he's being slandered the way he has been, because he is not responsible for the collapse of the Spurs in the playoffs in the finals. It is the coaching staff who failed this team. The players on this team let the team down by making the decisions they made and playing the way they played. They played championship level basketball against the Oklahoma City Thunder, who were the defending champs. And if Oklahoma City went to play the Knicks, Oklahoma City would have beaten the Knicks because they're a more finesse team than the Knicks. They got size, they got length, they got athleticism, they got everything. Young talent. They have a huge bench, deep, deep, deep bench. And they would have beaten the Knicks. However, the Spurs, who beat OKC, did not play the same level of basketball they played against OKC towards the Knicks. They did not do that. They shot the ball poorly. Their defense was missing at times. And they allowed the Knicks to come back in the fourth quarter and control the game. They did it in pretty much every single game when I break it down, except the one that the Spurs won. The 105-95 game, game 1, Jalen Brunson's fourth quarter takeover is the story of the game. 13 points in the fourth quarter, finished the game on an 11-0 run, and they beat the Spurs by 10. That is why they lost the game. Game 2, the Knicks won 105-104. Turning point, New York's dominant second quarter, 31-18 advantage in the second quarter for them to change the tempo of the game from the first quarter. Again, the Spurs let themselves down and allowed the Knicks to come in there and do what they had to do what they were able to do to take control of the game. They won the game by 1 point. Wemby had a chance to win the game. He missed a shot. They lost the game. Right? It's not De'Aaron Fox's fault. Game 3, the Spurs won that game, 115-111. They took over in the fourth quarter and won the game, took control of it. Okay? Game 4, the Knicks won by 1 point. And that was the greatest comeback in NBA Finals history when the Spurs were up by 29 points and allowed the Knicks to come back and beat them by 1 point. Right? And then in game 5, the Spurs were leading in game 5. I was watching it. And in the end of the game, they allowed the Knicks to come back and beat them, just edged them by 4 points. So, who's to blame? Is it De'Aaron Fox? Or is it the San Antonio Spurs organization for how they handled the finals? How they constructed this team to be, have the depth they had? Had they had Chris Paul still for this year, maybe they would have had a good option there. Someone who could have probably come in for De'Aaron Fox for some minutes and play, and been able to contribute in some ways or kind of give that mentorship that the head coach doesn't have because he's a rookie head coach. The coaching advantage, as I said, when I broke down the two teams, the coaching advantage went to the Knicks. Mike Brown is an established coach in the league. He's been a head coach. He's been an assistant coach. He's won championships. He's coached LeBron. He's coached many players. He's coached Kobe. And then you have a rookie head coach on the other side. And because of what happened with Greg Popovich and he had the stroke, the rookie head coach had to kind of fall into place here. So, it's not just one person to blame. De'Aaron Fox is contributing to what happened, yes. Was he a no-show in the finals? He didn't show up how he should have. He had one good game out of all the games he played. But he wasn't the only player that did so. So, that this slander needs to stop, and I hope that these guys they cut it out and they really just stop it because it's a shame, and I hope it really stops. I hope it stops because this guy is an excellent player. I would not support an NBA player that I didn't feel confident that, in his abilities or what he's done in his career, how he plays, how he is as a teammate. He's a good teammate. He's a team player. Is he an all NBA great? No. Is he an all-time great player? No. But he's a solid player and he's worked hard for in his career to be where he is and to do what he's done. And he's also been a cornerstone player for the Sacramento Kings when he was there. And he carried that team for a very long time. If you look at his statistics here, his regular season, you can see how well he played. His rookie year and then his second year he stepped in good, and then third every year he improved until he reached the point where he was scoring like 26 points a game just a couple seasons ago. Like, and you can turn around and say that he's not a good player and he's not, oh, get him off this team. He's not a locker room cancer or anything like that. He's a solid player. He's a good guy. He's a respectful player. plays as a team, plays hard, plays well. But to see them, media turn on him the way they did, and it's all over the news and it's all over the internet and everything, it's truly disappointing to see that. From my point of view and what my perspective is, De'Aaron Fox is a great player, solid player. If I built a team, I would love to have him on my team. He's a good guy. He's a hard worker. He had a bad finals. He's not responsible for what happened in the finals to the San Antonio Spurs. The coaching staff should be held responsible for that solely. And also the construction of the team having limited ability, having limited players who have the ability to make a difference in the game is the responsibility of the team, how they build the team, how they construct it. And the fact that the Spurs were limited into what they could do aside from their starting lineup, that's the general manager's fault for constructing the team that way. And I always said, instead of having a stacked starting lineup and then a weak bench, I'd rather have a balanced team where you have a lot of players who can come in and do different things. Whenever I'm playing the NBA 2K game, for example, I used to play a long time with my brother and friends. I always would become the general manager of the team, fix my team accordingly, and try to look for pieces that one, obviously fit under the salary cap, but they're able to come in and do something. They're able to come in and contribute. They're able to come in and do different things that certain players on your team that you have can't do. And for example, I'll give you an example. You have a player who's just a pure shooter. He can shoot only, can't play defense. He can't hustle, but he can knock down jump shots. He can spot up and shoot. Then you have a player who's like a wing player. Let's say he can play 3 and D. He's a 3 and D player. Means he can shoot the three, but he can play defense as well. You like that because of the size, the ability to defend, the ability to rebound. It gives you more of a dynamic approach. So having that kind of player, you know, it's how you, like I said, it's how you construct the team. And you always got to have things like that as options because you don't know how you're going to match up. You don't know what the other team is going to throw at you when it comes to what they bring on the floor of five players. Are they gonna are they gonna put Carl Anthony Towns at center? Are they gonna put him at power forward? Who are they gonna bring at center? Are they gonna start Mitch Robinson? Are they gonna play Carl Anthony Towns at power forward and do that kind of big kind of heavy lineup? Are they gonna do like more of a smaller run and gun lineup, like put Josh Hart at the 4, put Carl Anthony Towns at the 5, go with a small team oriented rebounding team where they can spread the floor offensively but defensively as a team rebound and help each other out and basically balance each other off because that's what it's about in sports. In sports, it's not just about having all the best players. It's about how you construct your team, how you manage your team, how you play call down the stretch. And that falls onto the organization itself. So, from my point of view, if De'Aaron Fox gets traded or they decide to let him go, whatever team gets him, if they get him for a good price, um, kudos to them for doing that because, and for the Spurs, it's going to be a huge mistake. I do believe that they need to ride the De'Aaron Fox train. They need to stick with De'Aaron Fox and rebuild this team in the offseason in the right way. As I said, there's a lot of players coming off the books that will be free agents. The money will be cleared from the books where they can spend it, and they need to focus on that and rebuilding this team in the right way. You got the cornerstone players. You got Dylan Harper. You got Stephen Castle. You got um, Devin Vassell. Then you got Wemby. You got De'Aaron Fox, and then everyone else is kind of, they're interchangeable. You look at where you can upgrade, where you can bring in some diversity on your team because Wemby's window is closing, and this De'Aaron Fox drama that they're pulling right now, if they move him and they don't get something either equivalent or better, then your team gets worse. So I don't believe in, one game, one series defining it all. As I mentioned previously in other videos, I used to be a basketball player myself, playing in school, playing on teams, playing team basketball all the time. And, you have games where you have bad shooting games as a scorer. or you can't score properly, or you're having issues with things, or things are just not panning out for you in the game. And sometimes it's just not your day, or it's not your series, or it's not your matchup. And then once you make a couple switches or you play a different game, you play up against different people, from my experience, you can get hot, you can catch fire, you can get streaky in scoring, and it goes for all sports. You see baseball players do the same. They have stretches where they have RBIs, and game to game to game, they're hot, and then after that there's cold days where they'll go a month with a bad hitting percentage, for example. And in basketball, it's like that. I know from my experience. I had many great games playing as a basketball player where I was unstoppable scoring and being resilient. But I had also days where I couldn't shoot, I couldn't score. Did I doubt myself? Yeah. Did I get myself into a rut? I did, because I was like, damn, this shook my confidence. But that doesn't mean that I'm not a good player, or that doesn't mean that I can't contribute and I can't do other things for the team. And that's where the coaching staff realized that De'Aaron Fox should be in there, because he's the best option they got. They don't have three other De'Aaron Fox like players sitting on the bench where they can pick and choose who they want to bring on the floor. They counted on him to do what he had to do, and he didn't perform to the best of his ability. But I don't blame him for these losses. I don't blame him solely like, oh, it's his fault, he's the reason why. It's the same thing as in the NFL. In my team is the New England Patriots, and this past year we went to the Super Bowl. Did we play well? We got destroyed in the Super Bowl. We got embarrassed in the Super Bowl pretty much. But does that mean that Drake May is not a good quarterback? Oh, he didn't do anything in the playoffs. The team let him down. The team was unable to guard the edges and the front line of the Seahawks to keep him away from our quarterback, so our quarterback could wait for the plays to develop and get the ball out properly. Instead, had him running around, taking hits, forcing him to turn over the ball, which he had to try to make plays and do something, and it caused turnovers. And it's not his fault. No one is blaming him. People are not coming out and slandering Drake May and saying that Drake May is the reason why we lost the Super Bowl. It was an overall team effort from the Seattle Seahawks, who played better football than we did. Their team was more of a destructive team than our team was, player wise, and how they played with those players, the plays they ran, how they managed things. And that's how they dominated the game. And they won, and they deserve to win. And the same thing goes for the Knicks. They played resilient basketball. They refused to lose. They refused to accept in any game that they were going to lose. They kept fighting to the end. And in two of the games, they ended up taking those two games by doing that exactly. Edging by your competition, playing just a little bit more harder and better, and getting the job done. And they did that. In the other games that they won, they edged it in the fourth quarter, where they took over and controlled the tempo and to end the game, and they won those games. That's how they won their 4 games. So, again, for the last time, social media, people out there, the De'Aaron Fox slander needs to stop. This guy is a good player. You can't look at him and say he's not. And for what he's done in the league, for what he's done for the Kings and how he's played with the Spurs, you can't put it on his shoulders and say it's his fault. That is not the right way that should be brought forward. It's just not fair to say that, yeah, he didn't show up, he didn't play his best basketball there. They needed him. Yes, I agree. I'm not saying he's not responsible in any way for anything. He is. He's a big part of the team, and the team needed him to step up, and he didn't. But that's basketball. When LeBron James was trying to win championships and he wasn't able to overcome it, where they lost as a team, is it LeBron James' fault directly? No, it's not. So to go out and blame Fox and to say, oh, he should be traded, he should be kicked off the team, and they should get rid of him. It's absolutely absurd. If Greg Popovich was coaching and they won, they would have said a whole different thing about him. They would have said, oh, the coaching did good. They matched up well. They did this. They did that. They did the right things. It was kind of a recipe for failure, the way the Spurs came into the series and basically what happened with the coaching situation and how they managed these plays. And like I said, I highlighted it. When you see momentum shifting in a game, there's two ways you could stop that. You make adjustments, or you call timeouts, you slow the tempo down, you try to change things up, you try different, schemes, trapping, double teaming, forcing the players that are making the difference and causing trouble against your team to get the ball out of their hands, force them to give it up, force the team to switch up their plays, make adjustments. That's what you have to do. You don't just sit back and let the team dissect you. And that's exactly what happened here in the finals. So, guys, the De'Aaron Fox slander, gotta stop. I'm not for it. De'Aaron Fox, you're a great player. You play hard. You deserve the respect you deserve. Any team that has you would be lucky to have you. I know when they said, "Oh, the Spurs are getting De'Aaron Fox," it was like the whole talk of the nation. Everybody was like, "Whoa!" Like the Spurs are loading up here. Now all of a sudden, Charles Barkley is calling him an idiot, saying, "Oh, he's an idiot. He's the dumbest player ever." To blow that lead and for him to like, it's so wrong in so many levels to just finger point this one guy. What about Wemby? Let's talk about Wemby. Wemby should have taken control of the games. He took control of which game? Game 3. He dominated with 32 points. The Spurs regrouped at halftime and attacked aggressively. So Wemby showed up there. Well, where else was Wemby? Wemby also shot 10 of 21 from the floor. Wemby shot 7 of 17 from the floor. He didn't take as much shots as he should have. He didn't score at the clip that he can score. Where was Wemby? Why is no one slandering Wemby, saying, "Oh, we should trade Wemby," or "Wemby is not good," or "Wemby didn't show up and he didn't take control of the team like he should have"? Because Wemby is the star player of this team. I don't care about what people say about De'Aaron Fox. Wemby is the leader of the Spurs. He's the future of the Spurs. Yes, he's young, but that's his team. Going into next season, it's about Wemby. De'Aaron Fox is his co-captain. Everybody has that, right? So they should slander Wemby for this. Why Wemby didn't stop them from blowing the 29-point lead in Game 4, right? How come that's not happening? How come people are not calling Wemby out? It's quiet. Just they want to pick on this guy, and it's not right because he's a good player. Anyways, guys, so that's going to be my video for today about De'Aaron Fox and the slander that has been going on. I hope they cut it out. I hope it stops. He deserves the respect he deserves. I know he'll be back next year. If the Spurs move on from him, it's going to be a huge mistake. I call that because he is a franchise player. He's an excellent player. His salary cap is high, but he's worth it. The problem is that the Spurs team is absolutely balanced. They got a lot of young guards now that are there. So you have to share your minutes and touches with these guys. You know, and that kind of throws your tempo off as well because you're not as aggressive and getting the ball to make a lot of plays like you're used to now. So, you know, stop the De'Aaron Fox slander, guys. Cut it out. Let's move on. The series is over. The Spurs were completely outplayed. The Knicks deserved to win. Jalen Brunson was unstoppable. No one on the Spurs team could stop him, could control him. He was doing what he wanted when he wanted. He knew when he had to take over in the fourth quarter, and he did that. And he pushed his team to victory, and they edged by and won against the Spurs, and they deserve to be the champs. And that's it. The talk is done. There's no need to revisit this and and bring up De'Aaron Fox again and question all this nonsense. The Spurs need to come out, speak about it, shut it down, acknowledge that they were outplayed, acknowledge that, the Knicks were the better team on paper. The Knicks were the better team when it came to the energy and the heart that they had. Accept it, shut it down, the talks about De'Aaron Fox. Let De'Aaron Fox focus on doing what he needs to do, preparing for next season. He has a lot of work to do. He's got to get his shot going again. He's got to figure himself out. He's got to first take time off and cool off, and then get back into the gym and start working on his game again. And that's where the San Antonio Spurs need to focus their energy on right now and shut down these talks from these sports casters and stuff who are coming out and slandering him and making him, the topic of discussion, which shouldn't be the case. It should be the fact that the overall Spurs organization let the team down by how they managed the games, especially in crunch time, and they need to be held accountable for that. The coaching staff needs to be held accountable for that. If they have a young rookie coach, they need to surround him with veteran assistant coaches who can help guide him and help him through these kinds of situations when the games are going like this, instead of having him just freelancing it. Just because he got to the finals doesn't mean that he's an amazing coach. Doesn't mean that. Sometimes your players will carry the coach. You have players that are fantastic and they carry your coach to where they need to go, because as a team they play well, they score, they do the right things on defense, they control the tempo of the game, because the coach can only coach. The players are out there on their own doing what they need to do as a team, coordinating, switching, guarding, talking, moving, you know, matchups, switching matchups, doing this, that, rotating. That's what the players do. So, you know, the coaching staff can only do so much when it comes to that. However, the coach does have the ability to control who, what, and where and what. And they failed to do so in this finals, and I watched it. When you see a team getting momentum and you fail to do anything to make adjustments, you fail to make changes. They started the same starting five throughout the whole playoff series in the finals, and I don't agree with that. You can't do that. You have to make adjustments. You have to be able to play chess when everyone's playing checkers. So, anyways, so that's it, guys, for this episode of the Sports for Life podcast. I just wanted to thank everybody who's viewed the live and everybody who continues to support the live. I appreciate it a lot. And, check out our other videos we have posted on our YouTube page under Deadshot Dylan. You will see the Sports for Life podcast videos posted there. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys have not already, please like and subscribe to our page and our videos. Share it with your family, friends, and loved ones. We appreciate you so, so much. Continue to help to build this community where we can share our opinions and discuss what we feel based on our knowledge and what we think, and respect each other's opinions. Stay respectful out there. Stay positive, everybody. Have a wonderful night. I'm your host, Dylan, and I'm out.